Welcome back to some new malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Uniform Policy. I work in an industry that is similar to warehousing. Same logic in the grand scheme of things. In my branch and several surrounding branches, there are only 2 staff members to keep the place running, so we all have casual uniforms. Just a polo shirt and appropriate pants and footwear. I mainly do administration work and have a team member who works in the back end of things, but I'm capable and willing to jump outside when required of me. It's a pretty good setup, because working outside really breaks up the monotony of being stuck at a desk all day, and it's easy enough to do both parts of the job when I need to. Some genius in the head office decided he wanted to change the uniform for any and all admin staff to something a little more corporate and dressy. I can only describe this uniform as a 3-piece suit made with the heaviest fabrics known to man. Suddenly, I've gone from wearing a polo shirt, which is comfortable and easy to move around in, to wearing a white long-sleeve business shirt with a vest, jacket and neckerchief, complete with a skirt, stockings and a slight heel. I straight up look like a flight attendant working in an industrial warehouse and can barely lift my arms high enough to hold my steering wheel on the drive to work. It was a poorly designed uniform, and I was so incredibly uncomfortable wearing it. I was very quick to voice my anger. I first mentioned how it is unfair to expect staff to wear such a thick and layered uniform when we live in Australia, particularly in a place known for our consistently high temperatures and harsh sun. I then asked how I would be expected to leave the desk to operate machinery and do heavy lifting in a suit, skirt and heels. I was met with the promise that anyone working in admin and wearing a corporate uniform would not have to leave their desk to do any back-end work at all. I raised another concern, stating that we did not have enough staff for them to make this particular promise and still maintain our quality of work and hit our deadlines. It was met with a strong guarantee that I would not have to do any physical work in my day-to-day operations. I was all but ordered to sit at the desk to look appealing to clients and never move from there. From that point onwards, I followed their instructions. I never left my desk. There would suddenly be long wait times for orders and fulfillments, because my team member was on the road on a job and there was no one on site to continue his work until he got back. If my team member called in sick, I would spend the day pushing back deadlines for clients, which affected our targets and our reputation. Funnily enough, my teammate only started getting sick because I had to have the office aircon on freezing temperatures, so I wouldn't get a heat stroke at my desk. I was honest with clients who had complaints and explained that I would usually step in to help to make sure their needs were met, but was specifically instructed not to anymore. I then redirected their complaints to customer service at head office. After a few months of this, I was invited to a meeting with 3 of my direct managers and an HR representative. They were clearly upset about the drop in productivity and amount of complaints we were receiving. I let them all say their piece before reminding them I raised these concerns to them months ago, and that I was merely following instructions given to me, which were abundantly clear that I was to take care of admin work at my desk and do nothing else. I let them know my hands were tied, so all I could do was look pretty and placate clients when we inevitably couldn't meet their needs as promised. I suggested hiring more warehousing staff to fill in the gaps left by the admin staff, who were now chained to their desks by their uniform and unable to ease the pressure of the workload like we used to do. I could see that comment definitely hit them right where I wanted it to. They couldn't argue with me for following their instructions, so I was told they would get back to me on a solution moving forward. Well, here I am at work 2 weeks later, wearing my old polo shirt uniform. I was fully prepared to find another job if their solution wasn't reasonable, and maybe I still will look to leave this place. But I'll take the win for now. The next story is called 30 Minutes of Silence. This was from my first job in a family-run SME where the husband was the director and the wife was the GM. It was a very toxic workplace, and I am very thankful I left the job 5 years ago now. I dreaded every single day at that company. As it was my first job, naturally I tried to work harder and work late into the night, without any overtime compensation, very often. I am not a morning person, but I don't mind working late usually. One time we were working on a project, and I was trying to prepare everything ahead of time. My official working hours were 9 to 6. But I usually find myself getting dinner and going home around 11 or later. Those few days I started to report for work a little late, about 5 to 10 minutes past 9, and my boss, the director, called me into the room and gave me flack for it. Cue malicious compliance. If the working hours meant so much to him, I should adhere to it strictly. From that day onwards, I stopped staying late past office hours and worked strictly from 9 to 6. He clearly notices it, because he called me into his room for a chat a week later and told me he noticed I'd been going home early recently. I told him I'd just been on time. He couldn't do anything to me because I'd been delivering results. The day I threw in my resignation letter, he called me into the office for an awkward conversation. Have a seat. Then he started to fiddle with the resignation letter on his desk, so I sat down with a very happy expression, followed by 10 minutes of awkward silence. So, there's nothing I can do to make you stay? Nope. Another 10 minutes of awkward silence. Just know that if you want to come back to this company anytime, we will have the door open for you. Okay. Followed by another 10 minutes of awkward silence. That is all. The last story is called Accidental CCs. A few years ago, when I was in my second year of college, I got a job at a well-known beauty supply store. A red flag at first was that my manager, let's call her C, didn't give me my hourly wage until my first day, and I came in to sign the onboarding paperwork. But college is expensive, and I got my first apartment at that time, so a job was a job. One day I come into my afternoon shift and I see two kids putting out stock from boxes onto the shelves. One was about 10. And the other maybe 6 or 7. I was very confused, so I walked to the back room to clock in and asked my coworker what was up with the kids. Still a little confused, I shrugged it off until C came back from her lunch break. I decided to ask her what to do about the kids, because they were kind of in the way and we had quite a few planograms to do. Planograms are essentially the shifting of shelves and products on the shelves to make room for new products and removing old ones the company no longer will sell. She decided to tell me that she is watching them today and decided, since it was stock day, that she was going to get them to help and give them like $10 each at the end of her shift. She usually opened and left a couple of hours before close, so that was close to about 8 to 5 kind of hours, meaning these kids have been doing this for a while and just for $10. Now, our merchandise wasn't heavy, except for 3 to 4 different gallon-sized bottles of shampoo and conditioner we kept for salons. But it didn't sit right with me that this woman was basically employing her underage grandkids to do work for her in this store. And there are quite a few chemicals we handled that would sometimes come spilled in the box, and if we didn't handle them with gloves, we could risk burning ourselves. So breaking the law and whatnot. So this is pretty wrong, and I don't feel comfortable working alongside these children. If they get hurt or injured by one of the shelves or a spilled chemical product, then we can all be held liable. I don't appreciate the backtalk, young lady. Those are my grandchildren, and I do with them what I please. Not to mention, I am the manager here, not you, so get started on those planograms. The pictures are due in 2 days, but I was still advocating for her to do the right thing. I just don't think it's right that you are paying them essentially to do this dangerous job. It goes against the laws, and I don't think I can get my work done around them. The store was so small there was only one short shelf in the middle of the store, splitting it in half, so not much wiggle room to do planogram stuff with kids and customers in the way. I'm not repeating myself, mind your business and do as you're told. I won't repeat myself. I have a split second to think about what I'll do next before she walks away. I never cared about getting on her bad side because I never did anything wrong. She just never liked me for some reason. So I decide to say, wait, can you email me your directions for how to maneuver around the kids? I want to make sure the next shift coworker, who is coming in about 30 minutes, knows what to do in case I'm in the back or something. She rolls her eyes, already annoyed with me an hour into my shift, and says, whatever. 20 minutes later, I get an email in my inbox, nothing but the subject in all caps. My grandkids will be working stock, while everyone else does the new planograms. I gave the kids $10 to have in the store and have lunch in the fridge. She basically typed her own career grave with that one. So my little plan slowly comes into effect. I decide I'm going to email that exact thing to the coworker who came in, even though we already verbally filed her in. But I accidentally CC the district manager, who happens to be C's direct boss. In the meantime, I do as I'm told. I finish up what I can of the planograms for that day and on to the next day. C has her grandkids in again, same old set of directions. I have her send me an email, feigning stupidity, so I can send it to the next shift worker, and accidentally CC the district manager again. 2 weeks go by, and it happens just one more time. I eventually get a call from an unknown number on a day off, and it's the district manager. Let's call him Dave. He says, "Hey, this is Dave calling from our district office. I was getting back to you on this email I was CC'd in a few weeks ago that you sent me. What is this about grandkids and $10? I explained everything to him, and of course with the emails as proof, there's no deniability. He says if there's anything else that I find to please let him know, and then tells me he will forward all of this to the head of HR, and they will begin the investigation. I'm feeling quite satisfied and continue work as though the phone call never happened. She eventually did stop bringing her grandkids by, but not before the investigation was rumored to have started. A month and a half passed by, and I put in my 2 weeks notice because I found a better job and hated it there. She tried to fire me, but it didn't work out, and I came back the same day she fired me. I get a call from Dave again, and he tells me they finished their investigation and found her conspiring to break the laws or something like that. So she will be removed from her position. And they also found in their investigation that all 5 stores in the district got a complete clean out of every level employee in the store. They found many of them were falsifying their reward points, essentially inputting their own phone numbers instead of the customer ones so they could get more discounts. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel for more content. Let me know what you think about the stories in the comment section below. Have a great day. Bye bye.